I'm always searching for interesting cable management solutions, and after testing over 100 products, I've classified only a select few as S tier. $50 is a great price point to make your setup neat and tidy, but still saving you money for other upgrades. In this video, I limited myself to $50 and only S tier products. If you want to see everything I've ranked so far, click the link in the description to receive the ultimate cable management guide. To start, I knew I needed a large product to hold the majority of my cables and power bricks. None of my previously ranked S tier boxes or trays would fit in this price range, so I went back to Amazon to search for something new. After receiving a few new items, the Vidor set was clearly the best trays to fill this void. Once I get this setup cable managed, I'll make my decision on if my new trays reach S tier level. The next item I needed to include was a set of Tidy Helper clips. Anytime I'm working on managing a desk, I always keep a few of these in my pocket. The Tidy Helper pack comes with larger clips for multiple cables and also small clips for single cables. To round out my tools, I added a pack of Tri-Lancer cable ties. You'll find lots of these Velcro straps on Amazon, but I found the Tri-Lancers to be the best value. My setup is pretty typical with a good amount of monitor, accessory, and power cables. I'm working on a standing desk, but all of these products will work just as well with a fixed height desk. I always like to unplug and hide away as many cables as possible before I start to attach any cable products. This is a good time to take inventory of how many cables you'll need to manage and where you might want to route them. With the cables out of the way, I planned out where the cable trays would attach. I prefer to have the trays open to the back side of my desk. I always know that I can pull my desk away from the wall if I need to make changes. The next decision to make was if I should use what they call adhesive screw hooks or simply drill screws right into my desk. While the adhesive might be the only option available if you have a glass top desk or for some reason you don't want to drill holes into your desk, those factors don't concern me, so I'll be drilling the screws right into my desk. This is the more solid and what turns out to be the quieter method. Vidor sends along some guide strips to help with installation. I also used a large flat surface to help me line up the shelves flush to the back of my desktop. When placed side by side, the two trays add up to 34 inches, perfect for most 48-inch desks. For a 60-inch desk, 3 of these trays adding up to 51 inches might be perfect to fit between the desk legs. With my monitor arm mounted to the side for my ultra-wide Samsung, it made the most sense for me to install 2 trays to one side. If you have a center-mounted monitor arm, then you could just as easily place 1 tray on each side. With the trays assembled, it was time to start organizing all of my cables. I find it's best to start from the top and work my way down. That way, as you're working your way down, you can collect all the cables that need to be channeled under the desk. This meant starting with the power cables from my Govee light bars. They're excessively long in case you want to place them on either side of a large screen TV. I bundled up the extra length and used a cable tie to strap them together. I then used one of the large clips to adhere the bundle to the back of my monitor. My human scale M10 monitor arm comes with some built-in cable management, so I used those channels to run both my monitor and display cables. I also ran a segment of the Govee cables through the monitor arm to bring them down below the desk. Now the Vidor trays have plenty of room for a large power strip, so I chose to simply place the strip into the tray instead of screwing it to the bottom of the desk. To keep the inside of the tray nice and tidy, I again bundled up the extra Govee power cable with a Velcro strap, then plugged it into my power strip. Going back to the monitor cables, they got the same treatment, bundled and brought down into the tray. I used a clip to secure these cables to the back of my monitor arm, keeping them hidden from the front view. I guess technically starting from the top would have meant the mic cord came first, but either way, here we are. To take care of the mic cord, I used the included clips in my boom arm along with some more straps. Some of the single cable clips came in handy to route this cord down to the bottom of my desk, then across to the other side to meet up with my laptop. The mic cable is a good example of where you don't want to bundle your cables too tightly. When cables are managed too tight, you can put unwanted pressure on the connections, and it can also restrict the movement of the boom arm. I used a USB-C dock to lessen the amount of cables being plugged directly into my laptop. You easily could connect this dock onto the back of the desk or inside the tray, but I find keeping it free floating is a bit easier if you want to stay mobile. All it took was a few more clips and straps to get my remaining cables tight up against my desk and then neatly bundled and placed into the trays. A big advantage of using cable trays is that they allow you to keep things relatively loose and adjustable, rather than being wrapped up too tight. In my previous $50 fix video, I used a server rack to manage my cables. And while this is a very clean and minimalist solution, it isn't as flexible when you need to make changes. I didn't add this into my $50 budget, but if you do have remaining cables running vertically from your desk, I recommend using the AlexTech cable sleeves. These wire loom sleeves are split open to make them easy to wrap around your cables. One reminder is it's best to not bind together network and power cables, as the power can cause signal interference. A final test I always do with my cable management products is see if I'm able to plug in a MacBook charger into my power strip. In this case, I was able to fit it in, but it was very tight. Now, angling the power strip helped, but I would recommend using Apple's AC adapter extension cable. After some final touches and getting my mic cable addressed, you can now see what the end product of this setup looks like. It's time to judge if these trays are worthy of the S-tier rating like the other products in my video. Some positives: I love the clean look without a bunch of openings on the front-facing side. Even though this does limit some of the functionality compared to other cable trays, I prefer the solid surface with the minimalist look. The trays are just large enough to fit all my cables without being overly large and making it look gaudy. There is some venting on the bottom of the trays which will help the tray from building up too much heat. The negatives is that you're a little limited when it comes to fitting them on your desk. You're working with 17-inch segments, so you'll have to work around your monitor arm or potentially your desk legs to make them fit. In my case, this meant the trays ended up not being perfectly centered because my monitor arm was in the way. Based on all of the trays I've tested, the Vidor set is the best quality for the price that I've seen. This means I have to give it an S-tier grade as long as it stays at the $33 price point. Don't forget, if you want to see all the cable products I've ranked so far, check out the link in the description for the ultimate cable management guide.